Welcome to The Women We Know. I'm your host, Stacey Ferguson, and this podcast is all about real conversations with women in our lives who have stories worth sharing. Not the polished highlight reels, but the real moments, the challenges, the turning points, the courage, the growth, and the wisdom that comes from living a full life. My hope is that somewhere in these conversations, you'll hear something that reminds you that you're not alone and that the women around us are far more extraordinary than we sometimes realise. So wherever you are listening from, settle in, because these are the stories of the women we know. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to The Women We Know. Today's guest is one of those women whose life makes you realise there isn't just one way to build something meaningful. She's an award-winning metal sculptural artist, affectionately known as the Scrap Metal Sheila. She is someone who has spent years creating beauty from discarded materials. She is the Deputy Mayor of the Barcaldine Regional Council, but perhaps more than anything, she is someone who has continually chosen curiosity over certainty. Today, we're talking about backing yourself, following the things that light you up, and why pursuing your own dreams might actually be one of the least selfish things that you can do. I'm so excited to welcome Milynda Rogers. Milynda, welcome. I am so happy you're here.
Thanks, Stacey. I'm happy to be here. It's been ages since we caught up.
I'm really excited for this chat today. Before we do get into the big conversations, I love to start exactly the same way every episode, because I feel like it kind of tells me a little bit more about you, even though I know a bit about you, but it kind of gets the listeners to know, you know, there's a person behind, there's a woman behind your story as well. So I feel like it's a bit of an opportunity to lean in. So tell me, what is your go-to karaoke song?
Well, I like to sing A Coat of Many Colours by Dolly Parton.
Oh, it's one of my favourites.
Yeah, because it's easy to sing, and as a kid, I used to listen to it, and I think I was a real soft-hearted kid, and it just really spoke to me.
It's such a beautiful song. The lyrics are just beautiful, and I love that as a child you kind of grew up listening to it, and it's kind of just stuck with you throughout the years. So I absolutely love that.
Yeah. And I actually played it for my eldest grandson the other day, because I thought, well, I'm going to continue the tradition.
Yeah,
and I'll teach it to him too.
Oh, I love that. And do you love like the lyrics behind it? Is that something that
It is. And it's I mean, it's easy to sing, but it is definitely the lyrics of that it doesn't matter where you come from or what you've got or what you do, like everyone is important, and everyone has their value in the world.
Yeah. And I think that it's quite fitting, because that song has a beautiful storyline to it, I guess, and a story behind it. And I feel like your sculptures tell a story too. I feel like there's a little bit of connection there already.
Yeah. Well, it is funny because the sculptures are reusing old materials, and instead of wasting them and turning them hopefully into something beautiful or to be appreciated again. But
just fits together so beautifully.
Yeah, I actually hadn't made the connection until you said that. Yeah.
Before we do dive into everything and get a bit deeper on the sculptures and everything else that you've done, I'd actually love for you to share a little bit more about yourself. So when someone tells you or asks you, tell me about yourself, where would you normally begin?
I usually just tell them, I'm pretty boring. I tell them where I'm from, and probably tell them that I'm an artist and a counsellor, and probably not so much where I came from, unless they really want to hear about it. I guess I'm always worried people will think that it's a little bit boring or dull, or they don't want to hear every little last detail. So,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah, I think it's interesting though because I feel like what you choose to lead with often says a lot about you, and in amongst that was your art and being an artist and where
yeah,
you are now. Do you think that you have you always been someone who liked making things with your hands?
yeah, I have, and I I always liked art, and I was told that I was good at art right from the first year of school. But I also did like pulling things apart and putting them back together, and also building things, like making
Mm.
things. And I'm pretty sure it was just boredom really, because I was a kid that really easily got bored. So
Yeah.
it just, I had to do something. I couldn't just twiddle my
Mm.
fingers or something. I had to find something to do. So sometimes it got me into trouble because if I remember pulling Dad's radio apart and putting it back together while he was away. Yeah, and
Yeah.
there was a spring that sprung out, and I didn't know where it went. And I was so scared I was going to get into trouble. But guess what? It worked even without the spring. Just don't know whether it yeah, what the spring did. But anyway,
Oh,
yeah,
that's
so
so funny.
I always did. I liked the art and I liked creating, but I also had a grandmother that used to just make everything, like, from old. She never threw anything away, and she worked in an op shop, and she used to just make things out of she used to crochet dresses for Barbie dolls out of plastic bags, and like
Wow.
she just used to make all this stuff, and I just got involved in all that with her. So I've always done that sort of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, wow. I can see you being one of those kids, up the trees, pulling things apart, asking a
Yeah.
million
Yeah.
questions.
Yeah.
I can kind of picture you like little Melinda wandering off into wherever, like just
Yeah.
looking to see what you could discover.
Yeah. And yeah,
Yeah.
it could have got me into trouble. I actually made wings once. I
Oh,
made wings out of cardboard. This was another time, and I was in the process of getting up onto the roof to
oh
try them
no.
out when I got caught and told not to be so silly. Yeah. I'm glad I did, because I'm sure they wouldn't have worked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
I
man.
thought they were gonna work though in
I was gonna
when I
ask,
was
did
7.
you
Yeah.
yeah, did you really believe that they were gonna work?
Yep,
Yeah.
I did.
Very lucky timing for whoever
Yeah.
whoever caught
Oh,
you
I
at
don't
the
know,
right
it
time.
was definitely luck. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh God. Do you think that adventurous side of you has shown up differently over the years, like as you've gotten older?
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, I hadn't thought about it until I was actually quite a bit older, but I think all the time I never really thought about things when I was asked, or if I had an opportunity, I'd probably jump in without thinking too much, and then I'd just end up somewhere. And sometimes it might not have been the right decision, but I still made the best of it and probably learnt something in the process. Like, I guess what I'm talking about is just things like, when I left school, I just got the opportunity to go to the Territory to Wave Hill and work, but I'd never even gone away from home before, and like just got on a plane and went to the Territory, um, and took up governessing of all things. Couldn't control the kids at all. Like, the kids ran all over top of me, and I was the worst governess out. And I ended up in the mustering camp, which was great. I was actually really good at that because I love ponies, and growing up, and I could ride a horse. But if I had have said no, I would never had any of those experiences. So yeah, it was a little bit like that. I never really thought about things before jumping in a lot, and it's taken me to a lot of different, just opportunities and things. Yeah.
Mm. Do you think the not kind of stopping and thinking about it too much could have been maybe curiosity or just wanting to have a go at everything that you could have?
I think it was, yeah, it was curiosity and not wanting to miss out on something. I don't know what. always used to drive me to have a go, even though, you know, I don't know, maybe I'm just not as careful as other people, because I do realise that other people really sit back and think about things quite a bit, and then there's times when they don't do something and then they regret it later. But there's things like when I was asked to do the Muttaburrasaurus sculpture at Muttaburra, and I just said, yep, they said a life-size one, and I, without knowing how big it was, I said, yep, that's no troubles, I can do that. And then I realised later that it was 7 metres long and 3 metres high.
A dinosaur's a big thing.
Yeah, so I was like, well, I've told them I don't like to back out of anything once I've said yes, so I just had to make it. And I did. And if I had have said to them, wait a minute, I'll just do a little bit of research first and I'll get back to you, I actually think maybe that would have made me stop and think, oh, maybe I can't make it, I'll talk to them about it. And yeah, it's just, I don't know.
But it kind of opened that door for you as well, didn't it? Because if you said, if you had stopped and had a proper think about it, there could have been a possibility of quite a high possibility that you might have backed out of it and said, actually, nah, and second guessed yourself even. Yeah. But instead you were kind of, we backed yourself into a corner a little bit.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, exactly. And up until that point too, I hadn't learnt to weld. I was doing mainly all wire. And because it was so big, I had to learn to weld. With that one there, though, I did get my husband to do the structural welding, because I thought I don't want to be a learner and just do that. That was when I learnt to weld, and even that, I think growing up too, I had 2 brothers, and my mother was like, she had a career and Dad had a career, and I never saw, like, they never actually said that, oh, girls can't do something, but for some reason, I don't know, I always had the impression from Dad that, oh no, a girl can't do that. Like, because I always wanted to use all his tools, and I wasn't allowed because girls don't really use those tools.
Yeah.
He wasn't really majorly like that, but it just, I know it irritated me. So I never let that sort of thing get in the way, like with the learning to weld. I know a lot of ladies think it's too hard, or it's too, I'm not sure. A lot of things that I don't know if I was determined to just say yes to things because I was going to prove that girls could do anything. And it just stuck with me.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
I think there's really something quite powerful in hearing you, and refreshing in hearing you saying that, that sort of stigma back there kind of put a little bit of a drive in you without you maybe even knowing it. And I think that sometimes, curiosity especially is one of these qualities that we don't often talk about. We celebrate a lot of confidence and we celebrate success, but your curiosity to be able to kind of jump in and do things is often where it all starts. And I wonder sometimes as a woman, sometimes we might feel like we've got to pick this lane and stay in it, because that's the direction that we're kind of told to go in, or like you said, not picking up the tools because that's a boy thing to do, not a girl thing to do. But
and
I feel like
we're responsible for other, we feel like we're responsible for others a bit, so we have to sort of miss out on some things because of that. We need, and I always felt actually a little bit selfish, because even like I had kids and a husband and everything, and I did look after them obviously, but if there was an opportunity for me to go and do something, I never really, I just made it happen. Like, I arranged it so that I could go to, say, Toowoomba for 2 or 3 weeks and do an art mentorship. Whereas I found like that I felt that some of my friends or people that I know just they would say to me, "Oh no, my husband would never allow that," or "Oh no, I could never do that. I couldn't
Mm.
leave the kids for that long." Or, and that is their choice because I know with your kids, it's really, the way you raise your kids, everyone's different. But I did feel a little bit like I was selfish, like because I
Mm.
just did that.
But that was because of what was being said around you or
Yeah, because
portrayed
I
onto
felt
you
like,
as
oh, well,
well.
maybe I shouldn't be doing this. Yeah.
Yeah.
And but the thing is though, with age, I think comes wisdom.
Mm.
But as I get older now, I think, wow, if I had not have done that,
Mm-hmm.
well, then I wouldn't be in a position now to help other people because I wouldn't have learned anything, like learnt the
Mm-hmm.
things that I've learned. I wouldn't be able to teach anyone anything about art or help them or let them know how to get to where, like, I am with the art, what I did to develop my art. If you don't do those things, how can you help other people to get in the same position or who want to do that?
Yeah, yeah, and I feel like by doing those things, you didn't need the permission of your husband and kids, but you gave yourself the permission in a way to kind of keep moving forward and even evolving in your own life. So I know earlier on you were speaking about kind of not always making the right choice, but
Yeah,
learning from that, I guess.
yeah,
Are
that's right.
you someone who's comfortable with making mistakes?
Well, I don't like making mistakes, obviously, but I've made mistakes, and I think I've managed to either adapt or pivot in a different, like,
Mm.
direction. If I've made a mistake, I'm quite happy to reevaluate it and change where I have to or learn from it. Like, I wouldn't want to just keep going. I won't stick there and just keep doing something that I know is definitely a mistake. I wouldn't stay trapped. If
Mm.
I was in a position where, if it was the wrong job, say, like, I'm not, like, I'll always give something my best shot, but if that was really wrong for me, I would just change. I wouldn't stay in that position yeah, it's hard to
Yeah.
explain it. But,
Yeah.
I think I don't dwell on mistakes too much,
Mm.
especially if the only mistakes that I would dwell on would be if it really did affect someone else, not
Mhm.
just me. If it's me, I can pretty well deal with it. But yeah, if I
Mm.
make mistakes where I think, oh, this has really affected, especially my kids, I always actually toss it up, like whether I should or should not send them to boarding school. Because
Mm.
I look back now and I think there was no, I don't really think they got any benefit from that they couldn't have got. Like, I think maybe they would have benefited more from staying out west, and we should have maybe moved. Like, I could have gone into Barkey or Longreach, somewhere where they had 11 and 12,
Mm.
and they would have stayed out west instead of, like,
Mm.
it's a changing sort of thing, but way back, everyone from the bush that were out in properties, the kids went into boarding school, and a lot of them never come back because they'd go into uni and go meet people, and it seemed like a good thing, but nowadays, with so few people coming back here, it's
Mm.
actually not a good thing, and it's I think that the lifestyle and everything out here is it's just such a great place to be.
Mhm.
Why try and, like, you know,
Yeah.
send them away for new experiences when they can go whenever they want? Like, up
Mhm.
until year 12 is the only time that you've really got your kids with you. And yeah. So
Yeah.
things like that. There's things like
Mhm.
that when I don't know if it was a mistake or it wasn't, but I do. If it affects another person, it's more likely to make me regret it or not think
Yeah.
of it as a lesson, because you can't really change anything, can you? But yeah,
No,
yeah,
no, you may not be able to change something like that, but there could be a little bit more, maybe listening to yourself a little bit more than, I suppose that could be the lesson in it, to listen
yeah,
to what you
yeah,
need or what your family needs, instead of
yeah,
what the outside world is telling us to do. Uh,
definitely, yeah, yeah,
yeah, and it sounds like, where you are now, that's where you're at. You kind of
yeah,
you listen to yourself a little bit more so than what the world's telling you to do. So do you think there
yeah.
was a moment where you realized, actually, I don't have to do life the way everyone else expects me to?
I'm I'm not sure if there was a moment. I think I've probably always been a little bit unconventional, and I don't know why, because most of my family is pretty conventional. But I don't think there was a moment, but I know that I've often said, it doesn't matter what anyone else. I don't really know where that come from. I think it was at one school that I was at when I was in about grade 3. One of the teacher's favourite sayings was, "What will everyone think?" What is everyone going to think about this?
Wow.
Whenever anyone did the wrong thing, and I always thought to myself, I never said it out loud, but I always thought, who cares what they think? But I didn't say it. But yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it was all about appearances. I don't know, but um,
Yeah.
I've been like that. Yeah, probably most of my
Mm.
life. But
Yeah. It's just been just in you.
yeah,
Yeah.
I had thought about it. Why am
Yeah.
I? Yeah, why? What made me do that?
Mm.
But yeah,
Yeah.
would be like that. But
I don't think it's a bad trait to have, that's for sure. I think that, I often wish that I listened to myself a little bit more. So, but
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
getting better with age.
yeah,
But
yeah,
there are times I look back and I'm like, and that wasn't a decision made from me. That was a decision made from what I thought other people would think of me.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and I've begun to learn that, what other people think is none of my business. So
yeah. I know.
yeah.
It is, and it's probably best for us not to know what other people think about us
Hmm.
anyway. It's funny. Confidence is a big thing, though. With age, you do become more and more confident. And I know when you were 18 or 17 or 18 back here, and I used to think, I didn't know why you weren't more confident, because I thought you were amazing. Like, I'm like, my God, you're really going to go places. And look at you now. You have,
Thank you.
yeah. But you didn't know that then. None
No,
of us do. None of us
no,
do. We probably just need someone to tell us that,
yeah,
or to let us believe it. Like, my grandmother was probably the one for me.
yeah.
She used to just, mm, she didn't tell me. She just used to listen, and whatever I said, and I had
Mm,
lots of different schemes, she would be so serious and in saying, "Yes, I can see you doing that." She said, "I can
mm,
just see you doing that now. You'll be really good at that."
oh,
No matter what it was.
yeah.
And as a kid, she used to do that. She did that continually all the time. And I don't know, maybe it does wear off, or it doesn't. But yeah, it was, I
Mm.
appreciated it, I know, as a child. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. To
Um,
have someone like that in your corner, just
yeah.
dropping
Yeah.
little bubbles of belief into yourself, like
Yeah.
that's
Yeah, that's
incredible.
right. Because there's
Mm,
so many people out there that will always tell you that it's a bad idea.
yeah.
Like, and they're not, I don't think they're doing it to be mean or anything. I think they actually don't know whether it's a
Mm,
good or a bad one, and they don't want you to take risks, especially the people who love you the most.
mm,
They actually don't want you to risk anything. They want you to be secure and safe. And so if you say, I'm just going to go to the territory and work on Wave Hill, they'll be like, that is a silly, stupid idea.
yeah.
Stay here and, like,
Yeah.
be safe. That's really what they're thinking.
I think they think with logic a lot, whereas
Yes.
we tend
Yeah.
to think with our hearts, when it's our
Yeah.
when it's
Exactly.
ourselves. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Mm,
yeah, it is. rare, probably not as rare nowadays, though, just to find people that are happy to listen to your idea or what you're thinking about doing next, and they won't try and hold you back at all. They'll either ask questions about how are you going to do it, or have you thought of this or that, or they'll encourage you. And and
Yeah.
that is what I try to do, you know, in, with everyone that talks to me. I really try to encourage people to go for their ideas, because God, it's tough, to actually go through with it. And so
Yeah.
to have someone to help you and push you forward,
Just
is
that other person's belief in you could just make all the difference,
yeah,
and I know I've lent on a lot of people in my life that believed in me long before I believed in myself,
yeah,
so I
yeah,
know kind of firsthand what that is. So
yeah.
I think that's a lovely thing that you do, and it's so impactful.
It's one of the best things about being a counsellor, actually, is that when people, because you've got a lot more information coming to you about all sorts of different opportunities, training, funding, like what pathways to get to places. So it's great if I can actually put someone onto, some information about training or grants or people to connect with that will help them along their way, and then they actually do get helped, and they do get to their goal. That's amazing. I mean, it's
Yeah.
only one person at a time, but it still makes a difference in their life.
Yeah, yeah. Just touching on you being a counsellor, was leadership something that you always imagined for yourself, or did it kind of just fall in your lap?
It I didn't imagine it, really. I had a friend that was out at Baduri, an Indigenous lady called Joyce Crombie, who was a counsellor, and
Mm.
she's also an artist. That's how I knew her, through the art.
Yeah.
And she often said to me, "Oh, you should run for council," because there was times when I'd just complain about something, that we all do that. And she'd say, "You
Yeah.
should run for councillor. You could make a difference." And I I didn't take a lot of notice of it. But then out our side, north of Jericho and east of Aramac, we were always annoyed about the roads, and everyone would all talk. And I actually had encouragement from uh, quite a few of my friends to run for council and maybe make a difference. And so another same old thing, Stacey. I didn't really know what I was getting myself into. I just said, "Yep, rightio, I'll do that." And I got in. I didn't get in the first time. I lost by 6 votes. So I thought, well, I'll give it one more try. So I got in, but then I realised there was so much more to it than just making sure the roads were done and roads, rates and rubbish. There was just, a whole other aspect of it, like going to the city to ask the state and federal politicians for money and for help and to try and help our region. But not only that, the other thing was I didn't realise there was so much public speaking involved, because I hate public speaking. Oh, how silly is that? What that you see, I don't do my research that much before I say yes. But anyway, but I'm okay now with it, with the public speaking.
Mm.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't know. You wouldn't know from the beginning to now, of how much you didn't like it, because I think that you've always been a great speaker, and but again, another thing that could have tripped you up had you have done your research.
Yeah, yeah,
um,
definitely. If I had have really researched it and looked right into everything, I might have thought, "Oh, you know what? I
yeah,
don't know if I'd be a good counsellor."
yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah, there's an old saying about it's like something about just jumping in and kind of figuring it out as you go, isn't
Yeah,
there? I can't remember
yeah,
how it goes, but yeah, it sounds very similar
yeah.
to everything that you do.
Work it out as you go. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, yeah. I want to just go back a little bit because I feel like it's such a huge part of your life, but in regards to your sculptures and your art and how it just keeps tying back into everything, even being a counselor, that kind of to me is like feels so far away from the two kind of thing, being an artist and a counselor.
Yeah, yeah.
But how does someone discover that they can turn pieces of old scrap metal into incredible works of art?
I'm, I'm not sure if they, I think that it's not about discovering that you can turn it into it because art's like in the eye of the perceiver too. So some
Mm,
people might think that it's not that incredible, but I think it's just, I knew that as long as I could weld, that was the main thing. Once I'd learned how to weld, I knew that I could structurally put things together and make the shapes that I wanted. Although I ended up doing 2.5 years of engineering in uni just not long ago. And there was the mechanical section of that and the atomic section of the engineering were really, really interesting to me. And they really helped with the structural part of it, like learn, especially when you make bigger sculptures. So
mm,
to make sure that they're going to be structurally sound and they won't, just fall over and collapse in a couple of years. That was really good. But yeah, the actual sculptures, yeah, I don't know. It depends. Some of my sculpture I actually don't think are that great at all, but
other people
they
do.
were all practice. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. They were all practice, especially the first ones that I made. When I first made them, I thought, oh, that's okay. It's good. But after, 10 years of practice, I go back and I think, oh gosh, that's so bad. And I spoke to a caravan traveller, about that actually. And I said, I really think I could just replace some of the first ones with later, like I'll do it again, but now. And he was horrified. He's like, no, don't
Mm,
do that because all of the sculptures are by the same artist. Like he said,
mm,
that's part of the thing. We can see how you've changed over
yeah.
15 or 20 years from the first to the last. And
Mm,
I know that does make a lot of sense. And even so, I will have to just deal with having the the first ones out there. But
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I love that.
yeah.
Uh yeah. And as you know,
And they
like I
have changed a lot. Like they've
yeah.
really, yeah.
Yeah. And for people listening that don't know, just because obviously I lived in Aramac and I can still remember when, one of your first sculptures was first installed and
Yeah,
I can't remember exactly which one it was now
yeah,
or where it was put, but I do remember the excitement that it sort of started to create. And
yeah,
at the
yeah,
time I was working at the council and, we'd have tourists coming into the visitor information centre so excited to do the sculpture trail and they'd come back after absolutely just blown away, not just by the sculptures themselves, but by the fact that one woman had created them all. And
yeah,
I remember thinking to
yeah,
myself, oh man, there's just so much more to this than people probably realize. It's one thing to create these incredible sculptures, but then getting them out there to the middle of
yeah,
nowhere. And
yeah,
they're massive, some of them are
yeah,
huge.
yeah,
They would have had to been planning behind that machinery for
yeah,
the actual installation and so much that people never actually see. Do you ever
yeah,
stop and think about, how much those sculptures are, the impact that they're having on the community and the people traveling around to see them? Actually, let's just step back a second because I've just jumped in there, but let's just explain to the
yeah.
listeners what the sculpture trail is.
Well,
Do you want-
so it started because when I I learnt to weld and I made the Muttaburrasaurus and then I was practicing at home and I didn't want to have all of these sculptures just all around my shed and house. And, well, for a start, it wasn't our house or shed because we were managing it for a company. So I decided to put the ones out on the road just mainly for the entertainment of the kids, because all the kids did School of the Air and they drove up and down, they have to drive a long way. And I knew that they'd be like, oh, look at the tree made out of barbed wire, or look at the koala. So I just started putting the spare ones out. But then I found out that tourists were driving all the way from the lake up to there to see them and go back. And that's like 50K. So it's like 100-kilometre round trip from the lake. And the road was so rough too. I actually felt really bad because I was like, oh, I hope they're not coming all the way up there and being disappointed. Like, they've driven a long way. And then Margaret from Fortuna, she actually contacted me and said, oh, Milynda, we really think it'd be great if you could continue this on as a trail. And she was going to try and get funding. And I said to her, oh, don't worry about the funding. If other people are willing to have them on their property, I can just drop them off, And she did try to get funding, but she was unsuccessful, but that's fine. Like, because I just had sculptures to drop off, and
just
everyone
laying around.
everyone was happy to have, like, they didn't mind that to have one there. So it just got, people say, oh, I'm so dedicated and I'm such a great person because I put, 15, 16 years of work into this trail, and I've never even felt like I worked a day. Like, I feel sort of guilty because it was me just practicing and loving what I did and just putting it out there. And that somehow, it's created the trail. Like, so at the moment there's 41 sculptures around the trail, around the whole 200. So, they don't have to go out and back either anymore. I wanted to make them be able to go out from Lake Dunn and do a whole loop and not have to go back over the same ground, which I was really happy about when that happened.
Yeah.
But even one of them was inspired by you and the bike ride, remember? Because we always used to get so tired riding the bikes when we got to that grid, and we needed something. That's why I did that one of the goanna and the kangaroos.
Yeah.
Riding the push bikes. Yeah. So
I love that.
yeah. So then once I got the whole 200 kilometres, like, it had a sculpture, or I started the Facebook page up just to try and get people to know about it. And then it wasn't very long, and it was on TripAdvisor, and it was like the number one thing on TripAdvisor for what to do in the Barcaldine region. And and so I didn't really think about the impact until later, and I didn't know really what the impact was. But then once I got into council later on, we sometimes do get reports, tourism reports and things, and it had become the first thing that people asked about when they went into any information centre in our region. That was the first thing, whereas it used to be other things, like it depending on what town, it could have been the crystal trumpeters, or it could have been the tree of knowledge, but it had changed over. And that's probably when and getting just the statistics of the caravan parks, and just realising that most of them were staying an extra day so they could do the trail. Like, it's hard to believe that it's really, and even the private businesses, like out at Lake Dunn, like, the camp is so full now of travellers. And then there's the Gracevale, or I think it's called Tarabara nowadays. But that they've got the tourists, they can go in there, like, it's still on the trail, but they get a benefit. And I know that there was the camping where you camp on the property. I don't know if it's Wiki Camps or, it's U Camp or something where you can, like there is an opportunity for properties to branch off if they want and make another income from, like that's maybe drought proof, because we all, out here, if it's a drought, that at least there's something else that they could make an income from as well. But depending on the interest. But so it is. I don't really think about it all the time, but it does come up and just jump out at me every now and then.
Yeah. And I think it's really beautiful because, as the creator of all the work, you don't always get to see the impact that your work's having through other people's lives. So
that's right. Yeah.
Being able to,
I am lucky. I'm really lucky.
Yeah.
You're right. A lot of artists wouldn't. Yeah.
Yeah. Can I ask, is there one sculpture that holds a really special place in your heart? Maybe not because it's your favourite, but maybe because of a story behind it.
Well, there is one. It's not actually on the sculpture trail, but it's at Mount Isa.
Yeah.
So I got a commission from the Mount Isa Council to build a sculpture, and what they had done was demolish an old bridge and they were building a new one, and it was going to the mine. So the materials were made out of concrete and steel bar. And what they wanted was a miner with his child, because all the kids used to run out and meet their fathers at the bridge after the shift, and they wanted it to just show the importance of family and staying safe in the mine and everything. And of course, Faith worked in the mines for years, and one of my brothers also. And it just connected with me a lot. So so I said, yep, that'll be good. I'll do that as long as you get the material to me. So they did. They brought this concrete, tons of concrete and steel Rio bar that was just twisted into it looked like spaghetti, and dumped it there, and I made the hollowed out figurine of the miner and the child, and then I filled it up on the inside with the concrete rubble. And I really liked it. Yeah, I really do like that one. And I actually asked the engineer, I said, will it be out of the flood height? And he said, yes.
Yeah.
And I think it was within the first year, they had a big flood that went right up, I think halfway up the sculpture, and there was logs and everything up, and it was all perfectly fine. Thank God.
It survived.
Yeah, survived perfectly okay. And and I think the locals really like the sculpture because they're always interacting with it they actually after that happened, they went and put a life jacket on the child and the miner, and then during COVID they put masks on them, and when whatever footy's on, they put the maroon stuff on them, and it's good. Yeah.
I love
that. It is a favourite, that one.
Yeah. And I love hearing the stories that obviously keep coming back to you about, of what's going on with that particular sculpture.
And I really love their idea of reusing that material for the sculpture. It was a real challenge.
Place.
Yeah, it was a real challenge, and I was happy with the way it turned out.
Yeah. I love that. And I think that, like you said, a real challenge, but that problem solving that you would have had to do to bring that sculpture to life.
Yeah.
I know with that you were kind of given, I guess, a guide or an idea to work with of what they wanted. But where do your other ideas kind of come from?
Oh, they just come sometimes out of the blue when I drive past a place and I think something would look really good there. I'd love to see a giant kangaroo there or something, and I just start thinking about it and working on it if it's possible. But then other times, like with scrap metal and things, there's so many very, very interesting shapes, and so sometimes I will see something and think that I want to put it into a shape like of an animal or a person or whatever, but keep that highlighted, whatever the thing is. Then there's other times when I just know that I really want to make a horse or dog or whatever, and I just then go and search for the materials. It's funny, you know, with materials especially, I can spend hours out just going through all of the things in my scrap heap and just dragging them into the shed. And yeah, by the time I finish a sculpture, I just absolutely have to try and get everything back out of the shed again that I've dragged in and I didn't use. And I've got no
Start.
idea how I can get so much stuff in there because it takes me days to get it back out. It takes forever.
It feels
Oh,
like me with Christmas lights and Christmas
yeah,
decorations. I can get them
yeah.
up
Actually,
in a hurry.
that is a good um comparison. Yeah, because I'm a bit the same with Christmas lights. Yeah,
Yeah, you can get them up with that all that excitement, but then
yeah, yeah,
put them back down and
yeah,
away. It's
yeah,
another story.
yeah. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Uh,
yeah,
I I do think that that's why your work does resonate with so many people, though, because especially people that have grown up kind of around machinery or in rural communities, and seen a old tractor in the middle of a paddock, or bits and pieces lying around from an old factory, or
yeah,
whatever it could be, a bit of barbed wire, and for many people that could carry memories, and it could remind them of people or places or a way of life, so I feel like in a way you've kind of found a way to preserve those stories in a really
yeah.
unique way.
Definitely. Well, the thing about using it is that there is so much of that I've gotten just out of dumps. If you even though you put it out on a sculpture, like, because I have had a few people say, not very often, but, oh, I can't believe that you welded an old harness piece into a sculpture. That harness piece it's a part of history. And
Mm.
now it's just welded into a sculpture. And I've said, well, if it wasn't welded into the sculpture, it would be buried, and no one would ever see it again because it was in a dump. It wasn't in a museum because there are pieces, that I use that could be in a museum probably, but they're already in the museum's piece. And if I
Mm.
hadn't have put them into a sculpture, well, no one would ever get to see them again. They'd just be rusting away in a hole in the ground.
Yeah.
So I see it as like it's another way to display it. And like you said, actually, there's a lot of older people who actually used those tools and had them in their life. And I think they really get a kick out of them, just looking at them, and then they can tell the story about when they used them to their kids or to whoever they're with. And yeah,
Yeah, it's pretty incredible.
yeah,
Mm. The more that I listen to you, the more I realize that your stories of your sculptures and then your community are really kind of two together. They're not actually separate paths. When I went in thinking, being a counsellor or being the deputy of the region, and being an artist are two different things. And really, I know I said it before, but they feel like they just are joining together all the time. You've
yeah,
got this desire to contribute, and you get to leave something so meaningful behind in both of those areas in your life, and probably many other aspects of your life as well. So I love hearing how they've kind of joined together. And I love hearing how none of it was actually kind of mapped out either.
yeah, yeah. That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. I feel like you just would just so happen to be following your heart, and the next opportunity that you jumped in with your eyes shut, and
Yeah.
without doing your research too much. But,
Go with
you
the
know,
flow. Yeah.
do
Yeah.
you ever just like kind of think about that and think about how all of those different opportunities have led you to where you are now?
Only like later. Like I didn't think about it until the last few years, but I have thought to myself about how would my life have gone if I had have not done that? Where would I be now? It's really interesting to look back and just see how different choices and going different places, just where it led you. Nothing was mapped out, but
Yeah.
Does anyone really have a map? Even if they have everything planned right down to the last,
Yeah.
I guess there's still things that happen that force a change. The one thing though I think is that if you are adaptable, if you can change and if you can adapt, I think that's a very good strength to have.
Mm.
Because there are things that happen in life that you just have no control over. So if you can't control it, don't dwell on it and make yourself miserable, for too long.
Yeah.
Just go, well, that's happened. It's done. Can't change it. Now, what am I going to do to make things
Yeah.
good? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Um,
feel like you kind of just naturally are guided towards things that light you up. And that's why, well, that's when you jump in, with your eyes shut again. I keep
yeah.
referring back to that, but there's got to be some bravery to be able to follow that, maybe intuition, maybe for lack of a better word, but just to be able to jump into that. Do you think that it's because it's something that lights you up?
Yeah. I think so. I mean, I think I I'll always say yes to things that I've either wanted to do or I love doing or I think are important or valuable. But I don't know why, but I've never felt that brave. I've always felt like a scaredy cat, really. But
Really?
you just
Wow.
do it, you just do it anyway. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't
that
know.
that
I
really that
find it.
really shocks me to hear that.
It's funny that you say that because thinking back, I remember I was listening to Beck talk to you a while back, and
Mm,
I remember Beck saying way back years ago to me once that she she would like to be as confident as me,
mm.
and I was shocked because
Yeah.
yeah, I said to Beck, "Oh no, I'm not confident." And she's like, "Yes, you are." And I'm like, she says, "You just do what you want to do and you don't." And I'm like, "Yeah, but I'm not really that confident. It's all bluff. I'm just bluffing. But I do what I want to do, but I'm not as confident as I seem." And I think she was shocked. You
Yeah.
sound really shocked. But yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not really that probably shouldn't say that because I don't probably shouldn't let people know I'm not confident. But yeah.
No,
Um
I do
it's
love that. The beauty of this podcast is being able to kind of, see a little deeper into the woman
yeah.
behind what we see surface level, I guess, and it kind of gives other women the permission to, yeah, show up confident on the outside, but it doesn't mean that you're not
Yeah.
quietly shitting yourself on the
Yeah,
inside.
that's right. And if you make a mistake, it's I always think of what's the worst thing that could happen. And generally, if you can accept that, then it makes you feel a bit better. Say with
Yeah.
public speaking, I'd think, well, what's the absolute worst thing that could happen? I could fall up the steps of the stage, tear my shorts, forget
Mm,
everything and then have to start again and everyone will be embarrassed but then what really will happen after that?
yeah.
Will it nothing really? You just
Yeah.
keep going.
Yeah.
Will I
The world's
die?
not going
Will
to
I,
end. Yeah.
and it won't nothing
Yeah.
will change. But one thing that helped me with that not only with public speaking but with a lot of things is that when I first got into council, I was really, really worried about the public speaking, and I was lucky enough to run into this politician. I won't mention their name because I don't know if they want me to mention their name or not. But
That's okay.
he said, I told him I was afraid of public speaking, and he said, you know, I was a bit like that when I got into politics. And he said, but my father said to me, stop thinking about yourself
Hmm.
and remember that the only reason you're there is to represent the people from your region. So just stop thinking about yourself and remember the reason you're there is to stick up for the people that,
Mm,
you know, put you there. And I thought, wow, that's so it makes it actually so much easier. Like because
yeah.
I did that. Like when you're just thinking, oh, I'm so nervous, poor me, oh, why do I have to do this? But then when you change that around to, I'm here to help these guys.
Yeah.
I'm here to make sure they're heard. It just seems to shift that off yourself and onto representing someone else.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
it's so much easier to stick up for other people than it is yourself, isn't it, for some reason?
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Yeah.
yeah, and that really helped. It was one of the
Mm.
best pieces of advice I got from anyone. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that we kind of we spend so much time waiting to kind of feel confident when really, confidence grows because we're brave enough to begin
Yep.
with,
Yeah. Yep,
Yeah.
definitely. Don't wait until you're perfect. Like,
Mm.
start doing something, to start. Otherwise you'll never start. Like,
Yeah.
'cause
Yeah.
everything, you would have probably been the same with me with putting videos on YouTube. When I look at the videos like that I ever first did, I
Mm.
think, oh God, I could have done better. But if I didn't start then, like, when do you start? Like, you
Yeah.
can't. And you,
Yeah.
with podcasts, I bet you've improved since
Oh,
you first
a
started.
hundred,
Like,
a hundred percent.
yeah, but if you hadn't started, you would never have got to where you are now. Yeah.
No, no, and
And
cake decorating and anything that
yeah,
you do,
yeah,
everything takes practice. And
yeah,
if you don't, and I often like taking those comparisons because something that I was so proud of, and then
yeah,
in that moment, and I
yeah,
had other people cheering me on too, saying, "Wow,
yeah,
that's awesome," and then
yeah,
I look back and go, "You bunch of liars,"
yeah.
but
The
thank
thing
you
is,
for the support.
they probably weren't lying, but then they can probably see too that you've improved.
Yeah,
Um,
that's exactly right. That was good
at
for
the time,
there, and
yeah,
then you grow, and then
yeah,
you get better and better. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
No,
and I
it's that. It is definitely true. Don't wait you can
mm,
help people before. You don't have to be perfect to
yeah,
be able to help anyone, yeah, or do
yeah,
anything.
yeah. Thank you for sharing that because I think that sometimes people look at women who have achieved incredible things like yourself and just assume that they've always believed in themselves. Or instead, it's something that kind of has just come with time, and it's maybe not always there. Anyway, there's a lot of a, a lot of confidence, but on the outside, but then also on the inside, you're still just a woman who's doing what she can and doing the best that she can.
Yeah, yeah,
Mm,
that's right.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I don't feel like you're someone who's just out there just so brave all the time. I kind of feel like maybe it's more of your curiosity and obviously there's bravery in there as well, but but
yeah,
being able to just keep taking the next step and what happens next and what do I do next,
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and yeah, I do think. I mean, curiosity is a big thing that does keep me happy because there's always so much to learn. I'll never get bored. I won't ever be without something to to do or learn. Even if like something happens, I if I can't do the sculpture, there's just so many other things in life to look at and learn. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, it's there's so many. There's just not enough time.
Yeah.
Not enough years and time. Um,
Yeah. What do you think you understand about yourself now that maybe has taken you years to learn or you might not have understood 10, 20, 30 years ago?
um, I think I do understand now that the impulsiveness or the always looking for something else to learn about or to do or is really that of just being very, very curious about everything and how it works and what you can do to change it or how can you help solve a problem. Or it's not a bad thing actually, like, because yeah, at the start I think I thought I was too selfish, or I really should be focusing on other things that were more mainstream. But now I just think I understand that curiosity was the thing that guided me or like helped me to get where I am. And I don't think it guided me to where I am, but it was the thing that helped me get where I am. And the other thing was just saying yes to the opportunities. And I
Yeah.
think I understand that I am a curious person, and that I need to keep that there for me to keep developing further.
Yeah, and I
It's a
think
hard
that
question, actually. I should
yeah.
have, yeah.
Yeah, it's always, something in your head that you could probably answer, but when it's put in front of you and
Yeah,
asked,
I
it's
think, I think
yeah.
I probably understand that I do need to take the time to do those things for myself, to just for my own mental health and happiness, and don't feel guilty about it at all, because if you're not happy and you haven't, what can you offer other people? Like, if you're not happy, your own family, they're not happy if you're not happy, because they'll know, and everyone else benefits from you
Yeah.
being just content and
Yeah.
authentic, I guess, in your life.
Yeah. You are definitely someone who I can see just loves to continue learning, and you're creating. You mentioned studying uni not so long ago, and you just seem to say yes to a lot of new opportunities. I'd love to know what's something that sparks your curiosity at the moment. Like, what are you interested in right now?
Right now, well, apart from everything else, because I still have, I'm still working very hard on my art and the council at the moment, and I do have a big sort of sculpture in mind that'll take me probably most next year. But apart from that, I've actually recently got a virtual reality headset.
Wow.
And the main reason I got it was because there's a lot of things that you can do on there. You can learn a new language. You can learn debating skills. Like, you can debate with
Wow.
a person. It's like you're really in the room with them, and like you can do public speaking as well. And there's an audience, and it's really real. Like it.
Wow.
Have you ever tried virtual reality?
I have tried the VR, but not
Yeah.
not that side of virtual reality. I've tried bungee jumping, or like that
Yeah.
sort of stuff.
Yeah, well, so
Yeah.
you'll know it seems very real.
Yes,
And
yeah.
so there's a lot of training that you can do through there, and skills. And what I wanted to do was maybe, like, because there's people in the region who are elderly, and they've actually said to me that they'd love to do the sculpture trail, but they're just too old because it's
Mm.
just too much for them. Even if someone takes, like, it's too big of a day. And I was thinking, I could make a virtual tour of it. I'd need to get someone to do 3D imaging of each sculpture, but then somehow I'd have to try and get funding or something to do
Wow.
an app. But, like, you could put it in virtual reality, and then if they were to have one of those headsets at the Willows or at the aged care or whatever,
Mm.
those people could go on an actual virtual tour of the sculpture trail. And and
My
but
God.
but in looking into that, I just saw so many opportunities with it. Like, even for in aged care, it's always getting better. So imagine being able to have the virtual the headset on, and be in a room with all your family, even though you can't
Mm.
be there physically, but you could be in the room with them
Yeah.
during a celebration, because I'm sure that sort of thing is going to be the next step in it. But
Yeah.
then I researched, they are using virtual reality in aged care, and that already, and it's really that it's so good for them. It's really, really good. So
That is incredible.
it's not a new idea. I don't know. I got the idea, and then I found out that there is people already trying to get this into aged care, and
Mm.
everything, really, like a lot of different. It's not just aged care, but it was that idea from the people down. I had a morning tea at the Willows, and they mentioned that they could never do it because it was just too much. And
Mm.
And I've got into that. But I also, of course, if you got VR, there are games on it. And I really love this one game. And then I found out that I can develop my own game. And so now I hardly sleep, Stacey, because during the daylight, I'm either in the shed or at council. But then I try to be in bed by midnight. But then I have those hours at night developing, and it's actually at the stage where I can test it with people, but
Milynda.
yeah, I just so I just love all that sort of stuff. Yeah, um,
You were just like living proof that we are we never stop growing if we're just willing to keep on learning, right?
yeah,
Oh my
yeah,
gosh, like I just
yeah,
oh,
and have
you
fun
know
doing it. Yeah,
yeah, and have fun, yeah, because that's a massive driver. There's no way that you'd be up till midnight every night if you weren't having fun doing it, right?
I know, and you just regret. You're like, oh, I need to catch up on my sleep, but
Ugh.
I wish we didn't have to sleep so much, because there's only so many hours in the day and we've only got so many years on this planet, and we've got to try and fit in as much as we can.
Oh, you just throw yourself into everything you do just wholeheartedly, don't you?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
I want to start to kind of wrap things up, Milynda, and I
Yeah.
always love asking these questions. It's one of my favorite because somewhere there'll be a woman listening who's driving to work, who's hanging out the washing, who's sitting in a tractor maybe, or folding the 10th basket of laundry for the week, whatever she's doing, but she's just spent the last hour or so getting to know you. So what do you hope that she's taking away from your story today?
I think what I would hope is that if she has got something that she really is curious about, there's something that she's always wanted to have a go at or do or try, please just find a way, like research, approach different people who are engaged in that, and find a pathway and a way to do it.
Mm,
Because what can happen, I mean, she tries it and it's not the right thing, fine. At least she has had a go. The worst thing that you can do is in 20 years down the track regret that you never even tried. Just regret that you didn't do that and have a go at it. Just there's all sorts of pathways to get what you want.
yeah.
There's funding, like nowadays, just uh, go to the library, go try and find somewhere where they could get advice of the next steps to get them where they want to go, or to do what they want
Mm,
to do. There's so many opportunities for training too out there where you can get funding to just give you the training for next to nothing. But I do think that there's a lot of people that don't know about that. It seems much harder than what it is.
yeah.
And just with a little help from someone,
Mm,
it's makes it so much easier. And yeah,
yeah.
just don't give up on any ideas.
Yeah, yeah. I think one thing that I've probably taken away from today is that you don't have to have your whole life mapped out, and you don't need to know exactly what path you're going to take. That sometimes just asking the right questions, or asking the right
Yeah,
person, or whatever will help kind of
yeah,
take that path next step, on the right path. And I think
yeah,
that
that's right.
such a
Yeah.
beautiful reminder. One final question, another one of my favorite questions to ask is, who is a woman that you deserves to be seen, celebrated, or heard next?
Well, I was thinking about that, and one of the women that had been a real steadfast sort of support to me and friend over the years is Tracy Rose. She's a local. She's sort of east of Aramac and north of Jericho. I'm not sure. Has she already been on a podcast though? um,
She hasn't been on my podcast yet.
oh
She
yeah,
hasn't
she
been on
would have
this
been. She's
podcast.
probably been on one, but she's just been always a great friend. But not only that, even when I first met her, and she was just one of those people that, like I said, if you told her what you're up to or an idea, she wouldn't say, "Oh, what does your husband think about that?" Or
Mhm.
she wouldn't say, "Oh." I don't think, is that a good idea? She was just so interested in what you had to say
Yeah.
and supportive and
Mm-hmm.
such a great listener and really, really does, worry about people and want the best for them.
Yeah.
I know
I,
sometimes I had the the experience of talking to Tracy and telling her about a problem and then completely forgetting about it myself. And then because I'd talked to her and I've sort of felt really good, and then, next time I run into her, she's like, "I've been thinking about that problem you had, and I really worry for you." And I'm like, "Oh no, it's okay, so it's okay. I'm over that one now." But yeah, she is an inspiration to other women, and she's
Mm,
always, even on the grazing side, she was doing everything and ahead of the pack with technology and all that sort of thing. But then doing the different things that she's done that are
mm-hmm.
unconventional, really, of all the other women that are around. Well, not all of them, but,
Yeah.
the percentage that don't do that sort of thing, so don't go and develop new skills, and they're just not probably competent enough or to just go and do it.
Mm.
Yeah.
Two things stand out that you just mentioned about Trace was number one, that she dances to the beat of her own drum. Like, I just feel like
Exactly.
she is
Yeah.
that person that, oh, I'm doing this, to come in with me or you're not,
Yeah. Yeah.
in a most beautifully natured way, though.
Yes.
It's not like, suckers, I'm leaving you behind, but it's like, I'm coming this way, I'm going. It's a
Yeah.
beautiful leadership quality, I think, that she has. Or self belief in herself, I guess, or confidence. And
Yeah.
then she has the ability to make you feel like you're the only other person in the room. She,
Yes.
like you said, she
Exactly.
is an incredible listener, and she's not just listening on the surface. She's like taking it all in.
Yeah. Definitely.
Mm,
And she really, I don't know. There's something about Tracy. She's just got a such a her voice to me. I don't know if you get the same thing, but when she speaks to you, it's just, I don't know. It seems like it's right from the heart, or like she
mm.
just has her voice makes you want to, or trust her to confide in her things that you may not tell other people.
Yeah, it's almost hypnotic.
Yes, it's just, yeah, I always used to feel so nice and calm after I spoke
Mhm.
to Tracy. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, thank you for celebrating her with us. I would love to invite her on soon if she would be open to sharing her story with us. But thank you for celebrating her, because I think that she definitely needs to be seen, celebrated, heard even. Thank you, Milynda, for sitting with me today. Thank you for sharing your story so openly. I think what I love the most isn't just hearing about the sculptures or your leadership roles. It's about hearing you behind it all, and how much you followed your curiosity and you trusted yourself, even when there was those moments of maybe, like, oh shit, was
Yeah.
that the right thing to do? But you just keep saying yes to opportunities, and I think that that's just such a gentle reminder to all of us that we don't need permission to build a life that's meaningful. We can just go for it.
Yeah.
It's been such a privilege chatting to you and digging deeper, and I know our listeners are just going to feel exactly the same. So thank you so much for joining me on The Women We Know.
No, thank you, Stacey. It was actually a very enjoyable hour. Is it an hour? I don't know. Yeah, I appreciate you inviting me on too. So
Yeah,
yeah.
you're so welcome. Thanks, Milynda.
Thanks, Stacey.
And that's a wrap on today's conversation with one of the women we know. If something in today's episode resonated with you, I'd love if you shared it with a woman in your life who might love it too. And don't forget to follow along so you never miss a conversation. And if there's a woman in your life that you know has a story worth sharing, I would love for you to nominate her at The Women We Know on Instagram or Facebook. Or shoot me an email at thewomenweknowpodcast@gmail.com. There's a dot in between each of the words, the.women.we. no.podcast@gmail.com. Thank you for listening and being part of this community that celebrates her story, her resilience, her honesty, her triumph, her challenges, her life. We celebrate her.